Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thank you for joining me. I'm Katie and yes, we have an upgrade. My days, it doesn't seem 5 minutes since I had the last one. Anyway, let's get inside it, shall we? By the way, if you're new here and you've watched a few of my videos, how about hitting that subscribe button and then you can keep up to date with all the new ones that I've got coming up. Anyway, now I've finally got into that box. I love UPCRATE. They are a little tricky to get into. Anyway, I open it and the first thing I see is pens, and I'm like, no, not more pens. But these are alcohol-based liners, which I don't seem to have very many of. I know we had Sharpies last month, but these seem to be a different degree. I noticed there are face mask making materials, which is nice, and then I see this and the picture, which is by the artist Inky Dog Studio. I know exactly what's going to be in this box. I was so incredibly excited, actually. I know I sound like I'm being really over the top with my reaction here, but I was so excited because I have not done this for years and years and years. This month's UPCRATE is lino print making. Oh my god, I am so happy. I am so happy. It's been, gosh, I'd say about 20, maybe 15 to 20 years since I actually did my last lino cut, and that was back in my college days, so we are talking quite a while ago here, and I've not really gone back to it since. I've done other printmaking techniques but not lino printing, and that's purely because I hadn't got the kit. And that's not to say I hadn't got access to the kit, it's just I've never pursued it since then, since those days. I really like in this month's box they've provided a face mask making kit, so to speak. My sewing and seamstress skills are appalling, so I'm not going to make that on screen, but I probably will make it and use it, you know, extra layer, isn't it? But yes, I am so excited. I love the stickers this month. I love the artist's work as well. And this month's prompt is optimism, which, again, I think that's a pretty nice prompt to do. So let's take a look inside, shall we? So we have a branded A-Big inking roller, and that's pretty cool actually. I like the little legs at the side so I can prop it up without getting ink everywhere, but I do get ink everywhere because it's me. But yes, that is a nice little roller. It's not too big, and obviously I can cover a larger area if I need to. The lino cutting tool is by SD. I think I've said that right. And it comes with 4 cutters. There's one for fine lines and cross hatching. There's a universal one with a low angle attack. I like the technical terms here, it's a lot different from when I use it. There's a tight round cutter and a wide rounded V cutter for lines 3mm wide. Interesting. Anyway, it's important to note that these guys are pretty sharp to work with, so this is something where I am going to have to be a little bit more gentle in my approach. The pens we've got this month are the Graphmaster Deep Black Alcohol Based Ink Liners, and it says they are ideal for sketching, scribbling and outlines. Personally don't think they'd work great with alcohol markers if I was applying them as an outline first. However, I do think they would work quite nicely with water-based materials. We have 3 nib sizes, a 0.4, a 0.6 and a 1.0. And yeah, I'll use them. I use all of the liners I get, but I guess these ones are a little bit different. They write and work like a normal fine pen. I'd say perhaps the bigger one was a bit scratchy and felt a little bit dry, but I kind of find that with Sharpies compared to other pens, they tend not to be that juicy. The ink we have to make the prints with is the Schmincke Lino Print ink in Ivory Black, and there's 20ml of that. It is a water-based ink, which is great. The papers we have a selection. We have 2 sheets of, I think it's just printer paper. We also have a sheet of tracing paper, and we have the Zircal 145 GSM mould made paper, which I am imagining is what we're supposed to print on. We have 2 surfaces to print with. We have a lino board, which is also made by SD, the same brand as the lino cutter, and a Factice artist carving block. Now, I've used regular lino before, and I'll talk about that a bit more in the video, and that is what I'm going to use for today's prompt. This carving block seems a bit different. It's a little bit more wibbly wobbly compared to the lino, so I think I might just play with this a little bit more off camera, and I might do a video showing what I did with it really. But it says it's double-sided and it can really take a good stabbing from the tools. Anyway, that is investigating and swatching the materials out the way with. What am I going to do with them? So, the prompt being optimism, I thought something nice and cheerful would be a good start really. The thing is with lino printing, for me anyway, it's been a long time since I've done it, and I don't know if any of you guys have got much experience, but it's something, if you've not done it for a while, you don't want to go too far with the details. So a nice simple design of a dolphin leaping from the water into the sun. I like dolphins, they always seem pretty optimistic, and the sun, again, it's another optimistic symbol. These seem to just go quite nicely. So I sketched my design out just in a sketch pad that I'd got, and used the tracing paper provided to add my design to. I used a 4B pencil of my own to put the image onto the tracing paper, because that would make it easier to transfer it onto the lino. So far, this doesn't seem too different from how I was taught to use it back in the day, and just turning the tracing paper over and drawing back over it again ensures that the image is technically printed onto the block with the graphite, and also when it comes to printing the design out, it will face the right way because it's done it in reverse, and then it'll do it in reverse again. You get what I mean. Now, initially I thought I could use the alcohol markers or fine pens to touch up any areas on my print, but then I thought this paper probably isn't going to like alcohol. The print paper, that is not going to like the alcohol, and it's just going to feather and bleed, and I didn't want to waste it trying it. And then I sort of had a eureka moment and thought, oh, maybe it would be better to work onto the lino with. And yes, it was. It didn't smudge, it pretty much dried straight away, and it allowed me to get my design on there. I just label off a few areas where I want to cut out with the lino tools, but I've pretty much got the gist. I've also added a few extra little bits and bobs that I didn't on the tracing area, and that's, you could just say that is a little bit of artistic license there. I didn't want the dolphin to be just this black silhouette, because a lot of the black background is going to be black, and I didn't want it to be lost in there. So anyone who's got good memories of the 90s, do you remember when everyone loved dolphins? Well, that was me. I always look back on the 90s as being an era where you either loved dolphins, or you loved aliens, or you loved both. And moons and stars and suns were everywhere as well. Can you guys remember that? So, as you can see, I'm just adding them details in. I'm just making sure everything's where I want it to be. I'm making some areas just a little bit stronger in details, as you can see there, just so I know what I'm going to cut and what I'm going to leave behind. Now, a great bit of advice, and you might see me slip a little bit, but if you're using lino tools, always cut away from yourself. Back in my college days, boy, there were some injuries. And yeah, you don't forget them. You don't forget them. So just be careful when you're doing it. Now, the first thing I noticed about this lino compared to ages ago was how soft it was to cut. When I used to do it at college, we used to have to put it on a hot plate to soften it, and you had like about a 10-second window where you could carve, and then you'd have to go back on the hot plate, or we'd use an iron or a heat gun. So I'm actually really relieved to see that lino, for printing at least anyway, has gotten softer over the years. And even though they might have changed the formula for how soft it is, it still smells the same, which I can't tell you how many memories it brought back. I really enjoyed my college days, and when I get a material like this, or I'm tackling a subject, I love the flood of nostalgia. I absolutely love it. And I was definitely getting it from this project. For the carving of this, I'd used mostly the wider nibs. I didn't quite feel I'd got the level of control I wanted with the really narrow ones, and I didn't feel like I was actually making that many impressions into the lino. So I kind of just stuck to the wide rounded V cutter as well as the tight round circle cutter, just so I'd got better control there. I think when you're, especially like for me, who's massively out of practice, I think something where you're going to have more control to start off with is better than going straight in there for fiddly details, because you've got to get used to how much pressure you apply and how to manipulate the tool as you're going around. Of course, these are all my handy hints. I know on the UPCRATE website, the Inky Dog Studio featured artist will have a how-to video as well. So if you want a bit more of an in-depth way of learning how to use these tools, I'd probably look at that. But this is my spin on things and how I remember using these tools. Now, despite the lino being a lot softer than what I'm used to, some areas were really tough. So getting areas which were curved were really difficult. But again, just take your time with it and don't rush it, and you won't injure yourself. So now it's time to ink, and I just rolled the ink out on a piece of plastic, made sure the roller was completely covered, and then applied it to my new block. And you can get a bit of an impression as to how well you've carved it by just adding the ink. Now, I know there's a few little imperfections on the white areas, but that is part of the charm of lino printing. You don't want this completely perfect print. So I don't feel bad about that. What I did was clean the roller off using a baby wipe and dry it afterwards. And hey presto, we have a print. Now, it's a bit patchy in areas, and I think that's just down to the fact I didn't put enough ink on. So with it being water-based, just get another baby wipe, clean it off, and start again. Another thing I like about modern day lino printing is the water-based ink. So back in the olden days, it was all oil-based, and oh my goodness, it would take absolutely forever to clean your lino print, to clean your hands, to clean your rollers, and you really have to make sure your roller stays clean. You don't want any residual ink. That's another handy hint for today as well. So we are back on attempt number 2, and more ink, and I think cleaning the lino print as well, the block helped with the printing process, but I made sure it was nice and juicy. I made sure that my surface that I was using underneath what I was printing onto was nice and clear, and went straight back into it again with a clean roller. As you can see, it comes off so easily. It's so much better. Oh my gosh, I love it. And make sure you put a lot of pressure down just to make sure that that transfers across. I also flipped it over just to double push it down, and look, I'm so happy with how it turned out. So this month's UPCRATE box has been awesome. I really like the different type of media that's in here. They've sort of stepped out of the box a little bit and gone for something a bit out there, and introducing a lot of people into a completely new technique. As always, I really hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I have making it. I've really enjoyed stepping into the world of lino printing. If you have enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. I would massively appreciate this. If you're new here as well, why not click that subscribe button? And if you've been watching for a while and you haven't clicked it yet, go on, why not? Anyway, I hope you're all staying safe. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Massive thank you again for watching, and I will see you on the next one, which I believe will be tomorrow. Take care, guys. Bye.